What if I told you that one tiny habit before starting your car in winter can prevent catastrophic engine damage worth $5,000 or more? And no, it's not about warming up your engine for 10 minutes or scraping ice off your windshield. The real danger happens in the first 60 seconds after ignition, and most drivers trigger it without realizing they're literally grinding metal on metal inside their engine block. Today, I'm exposing the winter starting mistakes that mechanics see destroy engines every single year, and I'm revealing the exact steps that protect your car from freeze damage, oil starvation, and the hidden wear patterns that slash engine life by half. And whatever you do, don't skip past the habit at number 3, because it's the single most expensive mistake winter drivers make. Let's dive in. The deadly winter ignition sequence. Here's the brutal truth. Cold weather doesn't just make your car harder to start. It fundamentally changes how every fluid, gasket, and metal component behaves under the hood. When temperatures drop below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, your engine oil thickens like honey, your battery loses up to 60% of its cranking power, and your fuel system struggles to vaporize gasoline efficiently. That's why ADA reports that winter engine failures spike by 400% compared to summer months, with most damage occurring in the first minute after a cold start. The problem isn't the cold itself. It's what happens when drivers ignore the preparation sequence that modern engines desperately need to survive freezing conditions. Step 1. Verify your oil viscosity matches winter conditions. Most drivers assume the oil that worked great in July will protect them in January. Wrong. Oil viscosity changes with temperature, and using the wrong grade in winter is like asking your engine to run on molasses. When oil gets too thick, it can't flow fast enough to protect moving parts during startup. Studies show that engines started with thick, cold oil experience wear rates up to 10 times higher than engines with proper winter-grade oil. Critical components like camshafts, lifters, and bearings spin for several seconds before oil pressure stabilizes. During those first few rotations, metal grinds directly on metal with almost zero lubrication. The fix is simple but critical. Check your owner's manual for the recommended oil viscosity range. Most modern engines call for 5W30 or 5W20 year-round, but if you live in regions where temperatures regularly drop below zero, switching to 0W20 or even 0W16 synthetic oil provides instant cold weather protection. That first number, the 0 or 5 before the W, indicates how easily the oil flows at freezing temperatures. Lower numbers mean faster flow, better startup protection, and less wear. Real-world example, a 2018 Ford F-150 owner in Minnesota switched from 5W30 to 0W20 synthetic before winter and reported noticeably quieter cold starts and smoother idle within days. The engine wasn't working as hard to circulate oil, and internal wear dropped measurably. This single switch prevents the number one cause of winter engine failure, oil starvation at startup. If you're already learning something new, hit that subscribe button right now. Most drivers never discover these winter protection secrets, and I'm breaking them all down step by step. Step 2. Load test your battery before the freeze hits. Your car's battery is the heartbeat of the entire starting system, and cold weather is its worst enemy. For every 10-degree drop in temperature, your battery loses about 10% of its available power. That means at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, even a healthy battery operates at roughly 60% capacity. Meanwhile, your engine needs up to 50% more cranking power just to turn over because cold oil creates massive internal resistance. This is why batteries that seem perfectly fine in October suddenly die in December. It's not bad luck, it's physics. The Battery Council International reports that nearly 50% of all roadside assistance calls in winter are battery-related, and most of those failures happen to batteries that showed no warning signs just weeks earlier. But here's the part most drivers miss. You can predict battery failure before it happens with a simple load test. This test measures how much current your battery can deliver under realistic cold cranking conditions, and any auto parts store will do it for free in under 5 minutes. The test applies a load equal to half your battery's cold cranking amp rating for 15 seconds while monitoring voltage. If voltage drops below 9.6 volts, your battery is weak and will fail when temperatures plummet. The smart move: test your battery in early fall, long before the first freeze. If it tests marginal, replace it immediately. Batteries don't get better with time, and the $150 you spend on a new battery beats the $500 tow bill, plus the $200 emergency replacement you'll pay when you're stranded at 6 a.m. in a snowstorm. Keep your battery strong because the next step targets a fluid system that freezes solid and cracks expensive components in a single night. Step 3. Flush and replace your coolant before winter begins. Engine coolant isn't just colored water. It's a precisely engineered mixture of antifreeze, corrosion inhibitors, and water designed to keep your engine from freezing in winter and overheating in summer. But here's what kills engines every year: coolant degrades over time. The antifreeze protection drops, the inhibitors break down, and water content increases. When that happens, your cooling system becomes vulnerable to freeze damage, the single most catastrophic failure a winter engine can experience. When coolant freezes inside the engine block, it expands with enough force to crack cast iron and aluminum. We're talking about internal pressures exceeding 30,000 pounds per square inch. That's strong enough to split cylinder heads, crack engine blocks, and destroy water pumps in hours. The repair bill? Anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 depending on the severity. Independent Automotive Service Association data shows freeze damage accounts for more than 25% of total winter engine failures, yet it's 100% preventable with one simple check. Before the first hard freeze, test your coolant's freeze protection level with an antifreeze tester. These cost less than $10 at any auto parts store, and they tell you exactly how low your coolant can go before freezing. Healthy coolant should protect down to at least negative 34 degrees Fahrenheit. If your tester shows anything higher than negative 20, your coolant is weak and needs immediate replacement. Don't gamble with this. A $100 coolant flush beats a $5,000 cracked block every single time. And while you're checking freeze protection, inspect every hose and clamp in the cooling system. Cold weather makes rubber brittle, weak hoses crack, old clamps fail, and a single coolant leak on a freezing night will drain your system and leave your engine exposed to total destruction. Look for hoses that feel hard, cracked, or spongy. Check clamps for rust or looseness. Replace anything questionable now, because one $15 hose prevents a cascade of damage that spirals into thousands of dollars. Real-world warning: a 2015 Honda Civic owner in Wisconsin ignored a small coolant seep in November. By January, the leak worsened, drained half the system overnight, and the engine froze solid during a cold snap. Total damage: cracked head, warped block, $6,200 repair. All preventable with a $15 hose and 10 minutes of attention. Don't let this be your story. Keep your cooling system winter ready, because the next habit protects your fuel system from a hidden freeze threat that kills engines without warning. Step 4. Prevent fuel line freeze with the right additives. Most drivers think fuel can't freeze because gasoline has a freezing point well below zero, and they're technically correct. Pure gasoline freezes at around negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But here's the danger: gasoline is never pure. Every tank contains trace amounts of water. Water gets into your fuel system from condensation inside the tank, from humidity at the pump, and from ethanol fuel that naturally attracts moisture. In winter, when temperatures drop below 32 degrees, that water separates, sinks to the bottom of your tank, and freezes solid inside your fuel lines, fuel filter, and injectors. When ice blocks your fuel system, your engine starves. It cranks but won't start. It sputters and dies, or it runs rough and lacks power. Mechanics see this constantly in states with severe winters, and the frustrating part is, the problem disappears once the car warms up, making it nearly impossible to diagnose. But the damage isn't temporary. Ice in the fuel system can crack plastic fuel lines, damage injector seals, and destroy high-pressure fuel pumps, repairs that easily exceed $1,500. The solution is dirt cheap and wildly effective: fuel system antifreeze. These additives, often called dry gas or fuel line antifreeze, use alcohol to bind with water molecules and lower the freezing point below what winter temperatures can reach. One bottle per tank in the fall, and winter months keeps water suspended, prevents ice formation, and protects every component from pump to injector. Products like Heat or IsoHeat cost less than $3 per bottle and provide protection down to negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Use them every third fill-up during winter months, or more frequently if you live in regions with extreme cold. And here's a bonus benefit most drivers don't realize. These additives also clean injectors, improve cold start performance, and prevent the fuel system corrosion that comes from water contamination. Diesel drivers. This step is even more critical for you. Diesel fuel contains paraffin wax that gels and solidifies in cold weather, clogging filters and shutting down engines even faster than frozen water. Diesel fuel additives that include both anti-gel and water removal properties are non-negotiable if you want your truck to start reliably below 20 degrees. Keep your fuel flowing because the next step attacks a battery killer that most drivers enable without realizing it. Step 5. Eliminate parasitic battery drains before winter. Here's a silent killer that mechanics see destroy batteries every winter. Parasitic draw. These are electrical components that continue pulling power even after you shut off the car and walk away. In warm weather, parasitic draw is annoying but manageable. Your battery recharges quickly, and small drains don't cause immediate problems. But in winter, when your battery is already operating at reduced capacity, even a minor parasitic draw can drain enough power overnight to prevent starting the next morning. Common culprits include aftermarket alarms, dash cams, phone chargers left plugged in, interior lights that don't shut off completely, and even faulty door switches that keep courtesy lights active. Studies show that a parasitic draw of just 50 milliamps, about the power of a single LED bulb, can drain a weak battery dead in under 48 hours of cold weather sitting. Here's the test every driver should do before winter. With the engine off and all accessories turned off, disconnect the negative battery cable and connect a multimeter in series between the cable and the battery post. Set the meter to measure DC amps. A healthy car should show less than 50 milliamps of draw after all modules go to sleep, which can take up to 20 minutes. If your draw exceeds 50 milliamps, start pulling fuses one at a time until the draw drops. That tells you which circuit is causing the problem. Fix it now before winter amplifies the drain and leaves you stranded. And here's a simple prevention habit. Unplug everything from your accessory ports before walking away. Phone chargers, dash cams, and GPS units all pull power even when not in use. Remove them, and you eliminate unnecessary drains that compound in freezing weather. Protect your battery because the next habit saves your starter motor from brutal cold weather punishment. Step 6. Use block heaters in extreme climates. If you live where winter temperatures regularly drop below 0 degrees Fahrenheit, this one habit will extend your engine's life by years and prevent starter damage that costs $600 to replace. A block heater is a simple electric heating element that installs in your engine block and warms the coolant before you start the car. By preheating the engine to around 80 or 100 degrees, oil flows instantly, fuel vaporizes properly, and your starter motor doesn't have to fight through thick, cold oil, reducing wear and current draw by up to 50%. Canadian and Alaskan drivers have known this secret for decades. In fact, many parking lots in northern climates have electric outlets at every parking space specifically for block heaters. Automakers like Ford, GM, and Toyota even offer block heaters as factory options on trucks and SUVs sold in cold weather states. The installation is simple. Most heaters either replace a freeze plug in the block or install inline with a coolant hose. Once installed, you plug the heater into a standard 120-volt outlet 2 to 3 hours before starting your car. Some drivers use timers to automate the process, ensuring the engine is warm exactly when they need to leave. The result is magical. Your engine starts instantly, oil pressure stabilizes in seconds, and wear rates drop to nearly the same levels as a warm weather start. Studies show engines using block heaters experience 70% less wear. That's the difference between lasting 150,000 miles and cruising past 300,000. Pre-warmed engines also reach operating temperature faster, improving fuel efficiency and reducing emissions. Step 7. Check tire pressure weekly during winter. Here's a fact that surprises most drivers. For every 10-degree drop in temperature, your tire pressure decreases by about 1 psi. That means if you filled your tires to 35 psi in September when it was 70 degrees outside, by January when it's 20 degrees, you're running on 30 psi, well below the recommended pressure. And underinflated tires in winter aren't just inefficient, they're dangerous. Low tire pressure reduces traction on ice and snow, increases stopping distances, causes uneven tire wear, and dramatically raises the risk of a blowout or loss of control. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that underinflated tires contribute to more than 10,000 crashes annually, with a significant spike during winter months when pressure drops go unnoticed. But here's the part that shocks most people. Your tire pressure monitoring system, that little light on your dashboard, doesn't activate until pressure drops 25% below the recommended level. That means your tires can be dangerously low for weeks without any warning. The solution takes 2 minutes. Check your tire pressure with a digital gauge every week during winter, preferably in the morning before driving when tires are cold. Compare your reading to the recommended PSI listed on the driver's door jamb, not the number on the tire sidewall, which is the maximum pressure, not the optimal pressure. If pressure is low, add air immediately. Properly inflated tires improve fuel economy by up to 3%, extend tread life, and provide maximum grip on slippery winter roads. And while you're checking pressure, inspect tread depth. Bald tires in winter conditions are a deadly combination. The minimum legal tread depth is 2/32 of an inch, but winter safety experts recommend at least 4/32, and ideally 6/32 or more for reliable snow and ice traction. Use the penny test. Insert a penny into the tread with Lincoln's head upside down. If you can see the top of his head, your tread is too shallow for safe winter driving. Replace those tires before the first snowfall because no amount of careful driving compensates for worn rubber on ice. Keep your tires properly inflated and inspect them religiously because the next habit protects a system most drivers forget exists until it fails spectacularly. Step 8. Inspect your serpentine belt before winter starts. Your serpentine belt drives your alternator, water pump, power steering pump, and air conditioning compressor. Lose that belt and your car becomes undrivable within minutes. Cold weather makes rubber belts brittle, and the stress of cold starts accelerates wear dramatically. Serpentine belt failures spike by over 60% during winter months, often stranding drivers far from home in freezing conditions. But belt failure is almost always predictable. Cracks, glazing, fraying, and missing ribs all show up weeks before total failure. Open the hood and visually examine the entire length of the belt. Look for cracks running across the ribs, shiny glazed surfaces, frayed edges, or chunks of missing rubber. If you see any of these warning signs, replace the belt immediately. Most serpentine belts cost between $20 and $50, and the job takes under 30 minutes even for beginners. Compare that to the $300 tow bill, the overheated engine, the dead battery, and the lost time you'll face if the belt snaps on a freezing highway at night. And here's a pro tip. When you replace the belt, also replace the tensioner and idler pulleys. These components wear out at the same rate as the belt, and a new belt on worn pulleys will squeal, slip, and fail prematurely. Doing all three together ensures smooth, quiet operation and maximum lifespan. Real-world case. A 2016 Toyota RAV4 owner in Montana replaced a cracked serpentine belt in November before winter hit hard. 3 weeks later, temperatures dropped to -15 degrees, and several neighbors with similar vehicles got stranded with snapped belts. That one $40 part and 20 minutes of effort saved a winter disaster. Inspect your belt now because the next habit protects your visibility and your safety during the most dangerous driving conditions of the year. Step 9. Replace your wiper blades and refill with winter washer fluid. Visibility is everything in winter. Snow, slush, road salt, and freezing rain create a constant assault on your windshield, and your wipers are the only defense. Yet most drivers run the same worn-out wiper blades year after year until they're streaking, chattering, and barely clearing anything. Cold weather destroys wiper blades faster than summer heat. Impaired visibility contributes to over 20% of winter weather crashes, many preventable with functional wipers and proper washer fluid. Replace your wiper blades every fall before winter begins. Look for winter-specific blades with rubber boots that prevent ice buildup on the frame. Brands like Bosch Icon, Rain-X Latitude, and Michelin Stealth perform exceptionally well in freezing conditions. While you're upgrading blades, flush out your washer fluid reservoir completely and refill with winter-rated fluid that won't freeze. Standard blue washer fluid freezes at around 32 degrees. Winter formulas stay liquid even in extreme cold. Don't mix summer and winter fluids. Empty the reservoir completely, run winter fluid through the lines, and keep a spare gallon in the trunk. Step 10. Never rev a cold engine. This is one of the most common and most destructive mistakes drivers make in winter. The logic seems sound. If the engine is cold and sluggish, giving it some throttle will wake it up and warm it faster. But the reality is the exact opposite. Revving a cold engine sends parts spinning at high speed before oil has circulated fully, before metal has expanded to proper tolerances, and before fuel can burn efficiently. The result is severe internal wear, especially on piston rings, cylinder walls, and valve train components. Engineers at General Motors conducted tests showing that a single high RPM cold start causes as much wear as 100 miles of normal highway driving. That's because cold oil clings to surfaces poorly, and high engine speeds create forces that overwhelm whatever thin protection exists. Turbocharged engines suffer even more. The turbo bearings rely on pressurized oil for lubrication. When you rev a cold turbo, those bearings spin at over 100,000 RPM with almost no oil flow, causing scoring, seal damage, and eventual failure. Turbo rebuilds easily cost $1,500 to $3,000. Here's the rule. After starting your car in winter, let it idle for 20 to 30 seconds, then drive gently. Keep RPMs below 12,500 until the temperature gauge starts moving and oil pressure stabilizes. Your engine will warm up faster under light load than it ever will sitting still, and you'll avoid the catastrophic wear that shortens engine life by tens of thousands of miles. High-mileage taxi and delivery drivers who follow this protocol routinely push engines past 400,000 miles. Meanwhile, aggressive drivers who rev cold rarely see 150,000 before needing rebuilds. The difference isn't the car, it's the habit. Step 11. Defrost strategically to avoid window fog. Nothing is more frustrating than getting into a freezing car, cranking the heat, and watching your windshield fog over instantly. Most drivers blast hot air directly on the glass, but that's the exact wrong move. When warm, moist air hits ice-cold glass, condensation forms immediately, creating a blinding fog. The smart defrost sequence works with physics, not against it. Start the engine and turn on the defroster, but set the temperature to cold or just slightly warm. Next, turn on the air conditioning. Yes, even in winter. The AC compressor removes humidity from the air, which stops fog from forming. Third, crack your windows slightly. This allows moist interior air to escape and brings in dry outside air. The combination of AC, moderate heat, and airflow clears fog in seconds instead of minutes. And before winter starts, clean the inside of your windshield with a glass cleaner and a microfiber cloth. Dirty glass attracts and holds moisture, making fogging worse. Some drivers even apply anti-fog treatments like Rain-X Anti-Fog, which creates an invisible barrier that prevents moisture from sticking. Step 12. Prevent frozen locks and doors with silicone spray. Few things are more infuriating than discovering the door is frozen shut, or the lock won't turn. Ice builds up around door seals, jams locks, and freezes handles in place. Forcing them open often tears rubber seals, breaks handles, or damages lock cylinders. Before winter begins, treat all door seals, locks, and handles with silicone spray lubricant. Spray a light coating along the rubber weather stripping around each door. This creates a water-resistant barrier that prevents ice from bonding the seal to the frame. For locks, spray the lubricant directly into the keyhole. For handles, apply silicone to the pivot points and latches. If you get caught with a frozen lock, never force the key. You'll snap it off inside the cylinder. Instead, heat the key with a lighter for a few seconds, then gently insert it and let the warmth melt the ice. For frozen doors, pour lukewarm water along the seal to melt the ice, then dry it immediately to prevent refreezing. Step 13. Inspect your exhaust for rust and leaks before winter. Cold weather and road salt create the perfect recipe for exhaust system corrosion. Salt spray coats your entire undercarriage, and when combined with the heat cycles your exhaust goes through, rust forms fast. A small exhaust leak might seem minor, but in winter it's deadly. Carbon monoxide can seep into the cabin through leaks, especially if you're running the heater on recirculate. The CDC warns that dozens of drivers are poisoned every winter by CO leaks they didn't know existed. Before the first freeze, inspect the entire exhaust system from engine to tailpipe. Look for rust holes, loose hangers, cracked flex pipes, and black soot stains that indicate leaks. Listen for hissing or popping sounds while the engine idles. Exhaust work isn't expensive when caught early. A $50 clamp or $100 pipe section beats a $1,200 catalytic converter replacement or worse, a medical emergency from CO poisoning. Step 14. Wash your car regularly to remove road salt. Road salt accelerates rust formation, eats through paint, corrodes brake lines, and destroys undercarriage components faster than almost anything else. Cars exposed to road salt without regular washing develop structural rust up to 3 times faster. The damage isn't immediate. Salt sits on metal surfaces, attracts moisture, and creates an electrochemical reaction that never stops eating away at your car. Over months and years, this leads to rusted rocker panels, perforated fenders, seized brake calipers, and even weakened subframes. Wash your car every 2 weeks during winter, focusing on the undercarriage. Most car washes offer undercarriage spray options that blast salt and grime off areas you can't reach by hand. This one service, usually less than $5, prevents thousands in rust repairs down the line. For maximum protection, apply an undercoating or rust inhibitor spray before winter begins. Products like fluid film or wool wax create a protective barrier that repels salt and moisture all season long. Step 15. Drive the first 5 miles like your engine is made of glass. Even after you've done everything right, your engine still needs time to reach full operating temperature. And until it does, every component is vulnerable to stress and wear. Metal parts haven't expanded to their proper tolerances, oil hasn't thinned to its ideal viscosity, and fuel isn't burning as efficiently as it should. That's why the first 5 miles of every winter drive are the most critical for long-term engine health. Drive gently until your temperature gauge reaches normal operating range. Keep your speed moderate. Avoid hard acceleration. Stay under 2,500 RPM and let the engine build heat gradually under light load. This approach warms the oil, expands metal components to proper clearances, and brings all systems online without shock or excessive wear. Engines treated gently during warm-up show dramatically less wear on bearings, piston rings, and cylinder walls. Over 100,000 miles, that gentle treatment adds up to years of extra engine life. And here's the final truth. Winter car care isn't about one magic trick. It's about a systematic approach that protects every vulnerable system before, during, and after cold weather hits. Follow these 15 habits religiously, and your car will start reliably, run smoothly, and last longer than you ever thought possible. Ignore them, and you'll join the thousands of drivers every winter who face breakdowns, expensive repairs, and catastrophic failures that could have been prevented with simple preparation. The choice is yours. Your engine's future depends on what you do right now, before the next freeze arrives. Take action today and drive with confidence all winter long.